talk about it. And I think that talking about mental health is a very big mistake. If you look at it, even for public figure, I mean, right now it's sunny, and I fucking hate when I'm feeling low. And I've also had feeling like a really bad like some health situation. Um, Basically, you go online and you think about anyone who ever talked about their mental health. This is not 2016. This is not when people didn't really have internet and people didn't really pay attention. Look at Britney Spears, Nicki Minaj, Kanye West. I can name so many famous faces for you to pick up on that. It doesn't end well. People listen. Oh, they listen a lot. They listen to Lindsay Lohan. They listen, and they want to support you, and they want to be there. And even in real life, I don't know. Maybe you noticed in real life, people, they just want to listen to you. But especially in a professional environment, don't tell people that you're not well. I had this photographer once that I told because we're quite more like friends. And we're talking genuinely, and she was telling me about her problems, and I was also speaking to her. And next time I saw that she was doing an event, and I asked her, "So why did you not? I'm available. I'd like to come if it's okay." And she was like, "Oh, I didn't think that you would be okay to come because you know your mental health." And I was like, "You know what? This is the last time I'm going to be so genuinely open. Now I will just be, just keep it very sweet and short. Just say, I'm dealing with some stuff, or I'm just a bit, I'm taking a break now, and I'm not coming up, and I'm not going to make neither an announcement or a message, or I'll put my phone away, because what happened is that I'm going to be emotional, and if someone calls me or if I see something online, I'm going to repost it because I'll be into my feelings and everything. You know what I mean? So while I'm in my feelings, I don't ever put my phone away. I don't talk to anyone. I don't even call a friend. I just altogether stay away from that. And I think that, again, if you look at people who are like Kanye West, Britney Spears, all of that, when they had a meltdown, it actually made it worse because it's like people are pretending like they want to listen to you. But the reality of the matter is that they want more and they want more. And it creates this really weird, you don't think about it at first, but basically they get attention from talking about their drama, from talking about what's not working in their life, from talking about what's really stressing them out. And actually, once you do that, people have this weird access to you where they feel like now they want the rest of the story. Now they want to know, what happened. And, you know, it's all fair and game when they actually give you solution and they make you stronger and they empower you. But the truth is that they will find you draining. They won't tell you that. They're going to find you draining. They're going to be um, less engaging with you. They will also say stuff like, "Oh, they want to look after their mental health." I had that those people who were also, I would call them emotional vampire because I don't mind listening to people. Like, you can talk to me, I'm going to listen to you for hours. We can go through your story 100 times, and I'm never going to share your story to anyone because I respect you and I feel like it's for me. You trust me enough to talk to me, but then I'm not going to go and talk about your story to people. But when you never receive the "and what about you? How do you feel, Lucy? How are you doing?" It gets to a point where you think, you know what, I feel a certain way, but sometimes now I don't even know. I don't even know how to talk about my emotions and why I'm not showing my face because I know that someone can cut this and I'm not paranoid and put it online and be like, oh, this is Lucy, what she was talking about. But because I'm hiding my face, no one can screen record this and say, oh, this is Lucy. Because even if you say, it's like, it's so weird that you will record a black screen. But for me, it's like, I have this, also, it was the time of the month for me. So that was I was talking to you about my health. It was the time of the month for me. It's really hot. I hate going outside when it's hot. When it's sunny and I've got my periods and I'm not feeling 100%, I prefer to go outside when I feel strong. Because again, if I meet people, I'm going to be opening myself. I'm going to be very vulnerable, and I don't do that. And you might think I'm talking in circle, but here's the catch. Here's the catch. I know that I could make views off of me talking about my mental health, etc. But I won't do it. Why? Because I know that it's not worth it. It's not worth it because, again, talking about my mental health, to then find some sort of to think, you know, if I that's why people have jobs that are, for example, a psychologist, because there's a professional. Well, they vow to hide, to keep everything secret, and also they're hopefully not connected to anyone in your real life. And that's why it's best to speak to a psychologist. But in my case, I know you're going to say, oh, because you, oh, the race card. Like you see, I'm a black woman. There's some things where I would feel that someone is not going to get it necessarily. Hi, Vinicius. There's something that where people are not going to get it because, like, you have to explain to someone who doesn't understand how to feel, um, like you're a foreigner, how to feel like when you go somewhere, you're like, oh, hello, can I, I'm just always thinking, oh, I hope they're not going to be racist. I hope they don't mind people of different culture. I hope, and even just to explain that feeling to someone, it's like having to explain to someone, I don't know why, like, for example, there's some stuff that I knew before, but experiencing them um, actually changed. Like, for example, having uh, an Amstaff. I have two Amstaff, basically, like, they are two big dogs. And it really used to bug me because no one tells you online, no one really talks about that breed of dogs. They're like pit bulls, and people a lot of time are either they love them or they really hate them, and you get this huge hostility when you have them. But you can talk about this feeling to someone, but until they experienced it themselves, they might not get it. They might not understand that your dog is actually getting hostility. Like, what do you mean hostility? What do you mean? You know, and it's like this whole thing where you talk about yourself, you open up. Sometimes you have to be aware that also there's some people who are very vicious, and I experienced that in my life. That are, I don't know if you watch the Kardashians, but basically there's that girl Courtney, and I don't know her personally, but I could only talk about what I've seen from the show. But from the show, she's really, and I had this friend last year that I used to stay on the phone for hours, and they were exactly like that. Every time they are the victim, every time they can be rude, they can have the most weird attitude towards people, but every time they come to you to talk about how they're the victim, how come every time, and then you don't get it yet, but you will only get it when they start to do that to you. So for example, they'll be like, oh, you didn't call me, or you were not on the phone for me, blah blah. Meanwhile, they're not asking you how do you feel, because probably they just think that, you know, I had a girlfriend like that, and she was like, oh, but I was talking to that girl, but I couldn't listen to her. And she was literally telling me how she called that person her friend, and how she was not able to listen to her problems because she think that the problem of her friend are not as important as her problem. And she was like, I don't care about her problem. I should have known that that was a red flag, but I did not know that. And whenever I would listen to her, it was always about how I can be there for her, how I can, and it's all fine and fair until she started being playing dirty games. And I had to basically block her, because with these people, the only way to have peace is to block them, because they will also go and trash your name. Like, um there's someone who was in my life, and he was very much, okay, in my relationship, he's like the son of my husband. He used to be very young, and of course people are always going to believe the child more, of course, especially if the child have the same skin color as them. They can just say whatever crazy stuff. And I started to record him because I was like, no one will believe me if I don't have the video. And the reason I'm talking about this is exactly the same behavior. It's like, the problem also they have is that they have people around them in their family who never tell them that they did something wrong, that their behavior needs to be corrected, that they are in the wrong, that they shouldn't talk like that to people, that it's not something they do. So they grow up in a system around them where everyone is kind of a yes man. Everyone treat them like the victim, even though they're hurting people's feeling, even though their behavior is not correct. They will have this inner feeling that everything is done to them, everything is done against them, everything. And it's like it comes with a lack of empathy because they're very, very self-centered. They're the kind of people who literally be able to, like I was telling you about the Kardashian, like Kourtney Kardashian. Oh, I feel victimized because people are bullying me. Like, no one is bullying you. You actually started a problem. Then you're asking people to be on your side when you're actually hurting their feelings. How is that supposed to be you victimizing yourself? You know, it's like even people like Donald Trump. It's like they think that he will say, like Donald Trump will say that, oh, they were so harsh, they talking harshly of me. Look, dude, you're literally sending people to their countries. You're putting them in jails, you're putting them in, but then when people are going to say to Donald Trump that he's actually doing the wrong, he's going to say that, oh, actually, they are really harsh on me. They don't, and this kind of behavior are the kind of people, trust me, they are really, really dangerous because there's going to come a point where you'll feel very cozy with them. You'll be even um, one thing I never do anymore is like for sure never be relaxed with them, never like go to dinner, never go to a setting where you're going to sit with them, you're going to eat, maybe drink something, maybe if you're not a drinker, just relax with them and feel like you're safe with them. And then now you start to talk about your life, you talk about your emotions, and then I had that friend that I went on a holiday with, and then she will say, "Oh, I can't believe that you sent me this message, Lucy. How can you send me this? You need to get yourself together." That's what she told me. You need to get yourself together. Yes, okay. I just needed a friend to talk to. Of course, in 2 days or in a week time, I'll be okay and I'll go to the gym and I'll do my thing. And on the moment, I feel, especially when I was saying that I feel very sick, like right now when I had my period, I feel like my hormone gets so low and I get so depressed and then afterwards I'm like, oh, it was because also I had my it was that time of the month and I felt very vulnerable and I felt like, very touchy. And but then it's like, why, like if I can make the intellectual effort to understand this from someone, they will pretend, they will listen, and trust me, you get nothing on the spot. It feels, of course, it feels good to, and if you have that genuine friend who listens to you and who, it's amazing. I wish that for you, but trust me, on the spot, it's so nice to open up because at some point I was like, well, why am I so emotionally guarded? Why am I so closed off? I should be able to connect more. Maybe if I was more relatable, maybe if I was more open, I'll be able to create stronger bonds, etc. But I was thinking to myself, every time I've done it, I regretted it because I've done it for what? I actually, and sometimes I will be with someone and I'll think, oh, that person is very safe, they're very sure I can really talk about anything. And they'll be like, oh my God, you're so guarded. Why don't you talk to me about, I don't know many stuff about you. But I was thinking, well, I don't know almost anything about you, neither. Why do you want to know my personal life? Why do you want to know uh, my sex life? Why do you want to know what I do in my day? Why do you want to know about my parents? Are they going to change how you perceive me? So are you going to feel closer to me just because I was talking about uh, personal things to you? And I feel like if I even ask you to I don't know, to listen to me, really, it's never ever worth it, trust me. And you might again think that I'm talking in circle, you might think that I'm too harsh, you might think that I don't get it, that I'm not socially um I'm not socially okay, I'm not open enough, I'm not. But trust me, one day when you have that bad deception, you will rethink about what I'm just telling it to you right now. You will rethink about it twice. And I don't wish that to you. When you get betrayed by someone, when people start to mention your story and they say, "Oh, I didn't." they would just also play it down. They say, "Oh no, I didn't think that it was something personal. I mean, I'm such an open person." Yeah, but because you're an open person doesn't mean that I go around and talk about my life to people. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I noticed as well. That friend I was traveling with, she was like talking about things to me, and I always like to see people how they are behaving. Pay attention how they behave, especially if you're like someone like me who like kind of one to one. I like to see how they behave with other people and if they're exactly doing the same, talking to them about their personal life. Like she was literally talking about her personal life, her husband, her children, her childhood, you know? But she will talk about them. And I was thinking, of course, I'm not going to tell you anything because next thing I know, first thing you will want, you'll say, "Oh, I know Lucy. You know, you've seen her on the internet. She looks put together, but really, she was talking to me about this." And then it's going to become a story as well. So don't forget, especially if you have people that have nothing to lose. You know, these people who they just like a good gossip, they don't feel close to you, and they have they also have their own best friends, and their own best friend think their own best friend that they don't introduce you to and that you'll never meet, and you have no clue what they talk about with those friends. You have no clue what they say to them. I'm always wary about people who talk to me about their personal life, etc. And I'm like, I actually never met anyone from your circle. But then you feel like, oh, or they will say to you, oh, it's okay. Well, I only tell you this because you don't know the person, and I'm like, okay, but I don't want a stranger. I expect you to also find people that you're comfortable with that I don't know, that you're never introducing me. If we live in a different town, for example, and you'll be free to talk about my story just to get advice, and they will say, oh, I wanted to help, but no, you're not helping. Um, that's why, and also sometimes, when I speak, it's really hard to feel, how can I say, I grew up so guarded, and I've seen the benefit of it. So let's talk about the benefits. The benefits is that you're in control of your story, and if you find those people who are um, like I was talking about the Kardashian, or the people who are, no, not like the Kardashian, Kourtney Kardashian, the big sister, the oldest child, when they always victimize themselves, and you watch the whole thing and you're like, you're literally the problem right here. But they're like, oh my God, I feel so victimized, I feel so attacked. No, it's basically you're not even asking yourself what you did wrong. You just jump on feeling so bad that people are reacting to you. But think, if that's what reaction you're getting from being rude to people, maybe you should think that there's something that you need to fix within yourself, that you need to maybe try to understand the other person's view. Maybe, and the problem is that if you are also someone who spend your time trying to put yourself in other people's place, trying to understand where they're coming from, they actually don't re-question themselves. They just assume that that's how it's supposed to be, unfortunately. Um, and as I'm getting older, and I'm looking at things. I'm looking at my life, like I'm at that time where I'm not too old, I'm not too young. I'm just in between, you know what I mean? And I'm starting to look back at life, and I'm looking at situation, and I'm actually angry at myself because I'm thinking I could have avoided so many things. I could have avoided so many things by just keeping it shut, you know? I could have avoided so many things. And you might think I'm just being harsh, and I'm just here uh, stopping you to make connection and stopping you to be happy. And mental health is so important. And, now you have so many technologies. You can speak to complete strangers online that you're never going to meet. Just don't give them, I don't know, your Facebook, don't give them your social media. Now you can also travel. But I'm just telling you that a lot of time when you, I don't know, maybe you experience this, like if you, I know some girls talk about their relationship to their girlfriends, and I'm like, I only give the big lines. I don't actually go into details. They might think that they're getting a lot, but actually there's far more it's only the top of the iceberg, because I know how it is when you go into all the details, when you explain about so many things, when you, it's like you feel so bad because now you're with your partner, and they will look at you like you are, also they won't think that you're very, you think you're connecting with people, but truly, and so there's some people who you might not think like this, but they actually saw you as oversharing, and when you overshare, you lose trust. Like, for example, I used to feel more comfortable with people who would share their opinion, but if you're not, for example, um married to the person or dating the person or whatever, you don't want to be, just think, visualize them. Every time you want to share about something because you feel sad, just visualize them. Imagine that the relationship ended for whatever reason, and you don't speak to them anymore, and now they have all of these informations about you, and they can say, oh, I was talking to her, actually, do you know about this, do you know about that? No, you don't want to give that energy. uh if something goes wrong or you upset them, um, you don't want them to be able now to go on and talk about, oh, let me tell you the truth. Because did you also ever, when they do tell alls, the books tell alls, I never heard of someone talking to you and they always go, the true story behind, I don't know, Whitney Houston, the true story behind the relationship I had with my ex, the true person behind. And I'm always like, first of all, if it's really the truth, then you have to tell all the truth. It can't be just negative. And they always like, if you pay attention, they always say something negative. They don't say, oh, the true story behind that person. No, they will give you something what they will call the juicy comments, the thing that will impact you. And do you want to be that person when they're talking you the juicy things about you to their friends, or they say, oh, I've got this friend that she looks great. She's so smart. She's working at such and such. Oh, but let me tell you what no one knows about, especially if you're a private person like me. Of course not. Of course, you don't want people to. And you would say, yeah, but what if you have a best friend? What if? Yeah, well, do you need to know everything from every details? Do you want to know your best friend's sex life? Do you not need to know your best friend's? What is a best friend? Why can't we just be friends? And um, why can't we just empower people? And I just feel like with people as well, like for example, um I'm not someone who have a lot of cousins who have you know um aunts, etc. And I generally prefer to be with people who are so-called loners or originals or artists, or who don't have such big bond with their family and their extended family, only because I know that unfortunately a lot of time people who have large families treat you as an option. So before they spend time with you, before they actually hang out with you, before their weekend is already full, their holidays are already full, they are so busy actually with um their nephew, their aunts, their parents, their grandparents, their cousins. They don't actually, and it's not because they are bad people, it's just that that's how they are in their mind. They don't have this thing of, they always talk about the blood, the family, and it's like they're not going to actually see you and make you a priority. For them, they have and I heard that expression before. They say, oh my god, there's so many more people before, you don't even understand, there's so many more people that I need to reach out to this weekend, and for the holiday season. And I'm thinking, okay, so basically, even if you wanted to have time, except if you are like directly close to them, like let's say if you're their partner or their spouse, or um the sister, their sister's best friend, or their cousin's wife, or their brother's wife or husband, um they will not actually really see you, because you're not really familiar. You know that word familiar? It's family, it's familiarity. It means that you see the person regularly and then you become comfortable with you. And especially also, this is another touchy side, but if you are a foreigner, because let me not even talk if you're a minority like me, if you're a foreigner, just be aware, as maybe I mentioned, that if and when something bad happens, even if you're very comfortable with everyone, if something bad happens, they will remember that you're the foreigner. They will take the side of the person who look like them, who have the same religion like them, or who's from the same country. Don't think that they're going to actually start to think. No, they will say that they can't explain it, but they just feel more close to that other person. They get the other person more, and that's. I hope that you're not going to get to that moment to actually realize that they treat you like a foreigner. That's why I say I prefer, let's say, the outsiders of the society, the people who are a bit more edgy, the people who are not classic, the people who are not, because they understand this feeling of being othered. You know, someone who is consider an eccentric, for example, who have tattoos and piercings or do a non-conventional jobs in their country, they will already feel like they're foreigners to their own culture. and and they would actually be able to understand more where you're coming from, or people who are from a country but they've been traveling around, they understand what it is um to be different. They understand, and they don't have this what I call segregation between people, members from their families, and sometimes they are the black sheep of the family, sometimes they are, so they will be able to actually understand what it is to be a foreigner, and they won't think, oh, you're just someone extra that I'm meeting. But we need to, or Paul think we need to maybe think about, you know, that person for Christmas. No, you don't want to be that. Um, if you think that I'm wrong, that's your opinion. If you really think I'm wrong, but I would just say that um, you might think I'm exaggerating. You might think that I'm going too far, but really think that you talk to someone and that person have someone that they are closer to, just because maybe they went to school with, or because that's literally their family member that they're closer to, that you don't even know that they can talk about you, just as an example. And you might not feel hurt by that. I would, because basically you're a story, and then they need to keep the storyline. Like when you watch a show, or when you watch the news, there's always a storyline. And the storyline is, oh, what happened to, just think about their face when they talk to, oh, what happened to your friend who was doing this, or is she still okay? Is she okay now? What How did he work out in the end? That's how. Oh, where is she from again? That's how they will speak about you. Or let's say you're talking to someone, that person has a husband, a wife, and they have a girlfriend, or they have a boyfriend, and they're going to talk to that person very openly and very comfortably. And if you don't say anything dramatic or sad or whatever, they will only see basically what you let them access. So they will only say what you do, what are your achievements, and they're not going to be able to talk about your sad life or whatever. And like, for example, there are some people that you talk to, but you don't understand that, you think you're on the same page, but you don't understand them, that you're giving them a lot of knowledge, and you would only understand it later on. And of course, they might also give you knowledge, but they might not understand what you're talking about. Let's say if you live in a foreign country and they have not experienced it, and you tell them about something that for you seems very obvious. Like, for example, when people ask me about France, how I always tell them that in France, whenever a politician is being sacked, or they don't say that they're being fired, they always say that, they've been let go and they decide to start a new career. Well, in France, typically, the politicians write a book and they go on TV shows to talk about the book. But that's something that you might think is so random, but you don't understand that for them it's something that can come up. Then you're not going to be invited to whatever dinner they have, and they will just talk about it. They will just mention that, but you won't be there, or they will mention it on a social media thing, and you think, wow, actually I'm the one who told them this. Or they will mention whatever you're bringing as a knowledge to people that they will never introduce you to, because that's the whole point. Now if they introduce you to those people, you have to connect, you have to meet, and you can start talking. And once you start talking, they will understand that um maybe even the stories that they've been talking about you are not real, you know. And I was often say that I was very mysterious when I was a child, and as I was telling you, it's only when I became an adult that I realized that maybe I shouldn't open up about everything to everyone. But because I used to do it so naturally, people used to say that I'm very mysterious, I'm very guarded, I'm so serious, I'm quite intense, and I'm like, I don't know. You guys are just literally feel um it's more comfortable, of course, on the spot. Again, on the spot, it's so nice to be able to just open up and talk to people. But trust me, when that person knows from you, like there's no one who actually is not part of my life anymore, that I'm like, oh my God, they know this about me, they know this about my husband, they know, yeah, they know only maybe something they can find online. They know the generic story, and they don't know all the depth, because I don't know much about their couple. I don't know how, the ups and downs of their couple, because they don't tell me. So when I talk to them, I give them the big lines. It's not to be cheeky, but it's because I also respect my partner, and I don't think that it's fair for me to just go and open up to people who are not even and it's not their fault. And sometimes I know that they mean well, but you never know. Also, you might think people will say that I'm paranoid. And I often say, when someone tells me that I'm paranoid, I'm thinking it's funny coming from someone who barely share any personal information to me. They never talk about their family. They never talk about their childhood. They never, but they are the same people who will generally tell me that I'm paranoid and it's okay to speak, and they're there if I want to speak, and I can just open up and be comfortable. And I'm thinking, especially you don't deserve to receive any information, because I don't I don't see why you should. Just imagine the nerve. Imagine, it's like you don't open up anything, you don't share any personal information, and then you expect people to tell you anything. Like, I don't expect anything personal to. I don't expect anyone to tell me anything personal. And now, actually, after that, those really disappointing experiences recently, like that's why you don't see me really hanging out as much with people. I have friends that I care about, and I've been on the phone to them, and I've been meeting some of them that are really not into social media. And I noticed that I feel better this way. And whenever I go out, whenever I meet too many people, whenever I'm socializing a lot, that's when I start to be depressed, because I feel like I don't feel comfortable um to be around people, because I can't tell them everything. I can only tell them a partial, and it takes me mental effort to actually talk, because I'm like,